Good evening. This is the seventh meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council is now called to order. I want to ask anyone to have cell phones to please turn them off and put them on vibrate. Tonight, invocation will be led by Pastor Kenji Scott. If everyone will please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All eyes closed, all heads bowed. Gracious and everlasting God, our Father, it is again that we approach your throne of grace and mercy. We invoke your presence into this chamber that has been set aside to execute the business of this city. We pray for those who you have given leadership within this city. But Master, most importantly, we invoke your presence into this city. We invoke your presence into broken homes and broken families. We need you here because throughout our city, from east to west, from north to south, there is an unwanted blood flow. Too many lives have been lost. 731 people have met their end violently. Families have been broken and mothers' hearts are broken while fathers' tears flow from their eyes, and little boys and little girls are waking up without fathers and mothers. We don't have the answer. Sometimes we think we do. We have our opinions, but we need you. We need you because we need to bridge the differences that we may have, that we may come together on one accord to solve this bloody issue. We need you to cure the hate that is in this city and those who are broken and hurting so much so that they would go out and rob somebody else of life. We need you. We need you to comfort that mother and wipe her tears away. No mother, no father, no child should have to find themselves standing by the side of an early grave. We need you. We need you to stop the bleed because the realism is we can't depend on each other. We can't depend on the police. This is a miraculous event that's needed right now. So we pray for our young men right now that you would build a hedge around them, that you would keep them, that you would order their steps, that you would guide and direct them in the path of righteousness for your name's sake, that you would deliver them from the grips of the enemy and set us all free from this pain. And then, Master, we pray for our schools, that wherever we're short, wherever there may be a deficit, wherever our children are in need because they come into classrooms hurting, because they come out of family homes that are broken because of violence and substance abuse, we ask that you be a healer to our children and remember them, that you would gather them up in your love and in your mercy. We pray for them. We pray for our citizens who have come here for a new life, that you would give them the hope of liberty and justice and protect them as well. We need you right now. We can't do this alone. We need you to walk alongside us and guide us. We need you to keep us. And we depend on you and you alone. Now in the name of He who is Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Scott. Thank you. And how does she pronounce her name? The clerk will call the roll of the members.
President Young, Cohen, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Reisinger, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. This evening, we welcome Jennifer Budensky from Junior Achievement of Central Maryland. Welcome.
Good evening. Council President Young, thank you for allowing Junior Achievement to address the council today and for your continued support of our plans to expand and move our headquarters to Baltimore City. Special thank you to Councilman Burnett for recommending us to be here today, as well as many of you who welcomed us into your office to learn more about Junior Achievement. My name is Jennifer Bodenseek. I'm the president of Junior Achievement in Maryland. For many Baltimore youth, the future they see is confined to the struggles they experience in their small corners of the world, often only the few blocks that comprise their neighborhood. You know the stats all too well. Our young people need hope, something to spark an aspiration that motivates them to plan a path for a successful future. We need to challenge them to envision what is possible if they work hard and dream big. Our proven programs, dedicated educators, and mentors show young people how education, money, careers, and business ownership work, giving today's student the edge to seize tomorrow's opportunities. Following the unrest in Baltimore in April 2015, a 10th grader named Essence planted a seed during a panel discussion at President Obama's Advisory Council on Financial Capability for Youth, convened at Frederick Douglass High School. When asked how she best prepared for post-secondary education opportunities, careers, and managing finance, she called forth a memorable experience when she was only 10 years old. That experience was participating in a junior achievement program called JA BizTown. By planting this seed, Essence sparked interest in a formal junior achievement partnership with Baltimore City Public Schools, one that now offers a continuum of JA experiences for all Baltimore City students, grades 5th and 7th, giving them firsthand experience, exposure to careers, workplace demands, financial responsibility, and the attitudes and behaviors that lead to success. This year, more than 11,000 city youth will participate in JA experiences. But that is not enough. We can do and reach more. We are proud to say that Essence is not our only success story. In fact, a survey of JA alumni show that our programs have a broad, measurable, and long-term impact on students' lives and on our economy. This survey shows that JA alumni start more businesses, secure more jobs, earn more money, attain higher levels of education than their peers. In addition, 60% of JA alum who grew up in low-income areas have shifted to middle and upper income status. We want to capitalize on this impact and take our work to the next level. There's a lot of talk about creating jobs, but if we want a long-term solution, we must start at the beginning. We need our kids to see the options available to them early and understand the pathway to get there, and to have real-world mentors to help them make their dreams come alive. Building on the success of our partnership with Baltimore City Public Schools, Jay has an even greater vision for the future, one that positions our organization at the center of a regional initiative to bring a 50,000 square foot learning facility to Baltimore that will bring together business, education, community resources to support Baltimore's workforce development efforts, creating a bridge between K-12, post-secondary, and adult talent development initiatives. The facility will create unmatched, real-world interactive learning experiences for more than 30,000 youth annually, as well as engage parents and community volunteers, educators, and business leaders. Imagine a place where kids get to touch, feel, and practice what it's like to explore career opportunities and understand the expectations of the workplace, a place where youth envision the vast possibilities available to them. This is a proven model that Jay has introduced with great success in more than 20 communities throughout the U.S. The facility would include 4 of our most hands-on educational experiences. JA BizTown, where 5th graders get hands-on experience interviewing for jobs, getting a paycheck, running a business, and being responsible citizens. Finance Park, a personal finance and budgeting simulation that shows middle grade students how to earn, spend, and save. A career center where teens explore in-demand career opportunities and gain an understanding of education pathways, and an entrepreneurship center where high school students drive innovation by starting and operating real businesses. What's more, the facility will allow us to scale so that we can serve all students and not just those from certain schools or certain neighborhoods. We see this as a cornerstone to Baltimore's workforce development strategy. We know that the education system can't do it alone, the business community can't do it alone, the nonprofit and government can't do it alone. The benefit of this effort is to bridge all of us together, to foster economic stability, build a foundation for career exploration, financial responsibility, and entrepreneurial thinking, and strengthen the workforce pipeline. We are encouraged that the project has received enthusiastic support from a number of state, city, and community organizations, including many of you in this room. But this work is not done. We are only at the beginning. We need your support. As leaders who believe, like we do, in the boundless potential of young people, you can help us move this effort forward by giving your support, helping us open doors, helping us align to city initiatives that connect the continuum of opportunities for youth. And most importantly, we invite you to come out and see your district's youth engage in JA programs or help us make sure that they're taking advantage of what we offer. I look forward to connecting with you further and involving you in our vision for Baltimore youth. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. Thank you, and keep up the good work. We're looking forward to finding that home for you right here in Baltimore. All right. It is the council custom to generalize the invocation. Ask for a motion, generalize the prayer. Motion by Councilman Schleifer, second by Council Vice President Middleton. All those in favor of generalize the prayer say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We'll now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of proceedings from the March 6, 2017 City Council meeting is on the council members' desks.
The motion to approve the journal. Motion by Councilman Henry, second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of adopting the journal say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The journal is adopted. Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to journalize the State of the City address given by Mayor Catherine Pugh at the meeting of the City Council Committee of the Whole on March 16, 2017.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of generalize the State of the City address given by Mayor Catherine Pugh at the meeting of the City Council Committee of the Whole on March 16, 2017 say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried, and this address will be generalized. Bill to be introduced.
City Council Bill 17-0033, Building Code Correcting Definition of High-Rise Building, for the purpose of deleting from the City Building Code an outdated definition of high-rise building, thereby conforming with terms meaning to the more modern definition adopted by the International Building Code. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Judiciary Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0034, Metropolitan District of Baltimore County, Extension 165, for the purpose of consenting to and approving a petition to extend the Metropolitan District of Baltimore County to a certain tract of land and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0035, City Streets Closing West Trenton Street, for the purpose of condemning and closing West Trenton Street, extending from Schrick Alley westerly 135 feet, more or less, towards Falls Road, as shown on Plat 61A30A in the Office Department of Transportation, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0036, sale of property, former bed of West Trenton Street, for the purpose of authorizing the mayor and City Council of Baltimore to sell, either public or private sale, all its interest in a certain parcel of land known as the former bed of West Trenton Street, extending from Schrick Alley westerly 135 feet, more or less, towards Falls Road, and all native public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0037, City Streets opening Eager Street in a 10-foot alley, for the purpose of condemning and opening Eager Street, extending from Patterson Park Avenue westerly 90 feet, more or less, and a 10-foot alley laid out in the rear of properties known as 900 through 942 North Patterson Park Avenue, and lying within the Middle East Urban Renewal Project, as shown on Plat 348A89D in the Office of Department of Transportation, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0038, City Streets closing Eager Street in a 10-foot alley, for the purpose of condemning and closing Eager Street, extending from Patterson Park Avenue westerly 90 feet, more or less, and a 10-foot alley laid out in the rear of the properties known as 900 through 942 North Patterson Park Avenue, and lying within the Middle East Urban Renewal Project, as shown on Plat 348A, 89E in the Office Department of Transportation, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsored City Council President on behalf of administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0039, city streets closing certain streets and alleys bounded by North Bond Street, East North Avenue, Broadway, and East Lafayette Avenue for the purpose of condemning and closing certain streets and alleys bounded by North Bond Street, East North Avenue, Broadway, and East Lafayette Avenue as shown on Plat 311A, 31A in the Office Department of Transportation and providing for a special effective date. Sponsored City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0040, city streets closing beds of two 10-foot alleys bounded by West 27th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Remington Avenue for the purpose of condemning and closing the beds of two 10-foot alleys bounded by West 27th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Remington Avenue as shown on Plat 70A 3021A in the Office Department of Transportation and providing for a special effective date. Sponsored City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0041, Downtown Management District and Downtown Management Authority for the purpose of renewing and continuing the Downtown Management District and Downtown Management Authority subject to certain conditions for an additional 5 years, generally relating to the activities and authority of the Downtown Management District and Downtown Management Authority, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors President Young, Costello, Middleton, Pinkett, Cohen, Stokes, Reisinger.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0042, zoning conditional use conversion of one dwelling unit to two dwelling units on the R8 zoning district, variance 2034 North Fulton Avenue, for the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the conversion of one dwelling unit to two dwelling units in the R8 zoning district on the property known as 2304 North Fulton Avenue, as outlined and read in the company plat, and granting a variance for certain off-street parking requirements. Sponsor Pinkett.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0043, rezoning 1118, 1120, 1122, 1124, and 1126 Clarkson Street, and 112, 114, 116, and 118 Seldner Place, for the purpose of changing the zoning for the properties known as 1120, 1122, 1124, and 1126 Clarkson Street, and 118 Seldner Place, as outlined and read in the accompanying plat from the R8 zoning district to the C1 zoning district, changing the zoning for the property known as 1118 Clarkson Street, as outlined in blue in the accompanying plat from the IMU zoning district to the C1 zoning district, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor Costello.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 17-0044, sale of property ES North Mount Street, 100 feet south of West Lafayette Avenue, for the purpose of authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interest in certain property known as ES North Mount Street, 100 feet south of West Lafayette Avenue, and no longer need public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, Economic Development Committee. Resolution is introduced.
City Council Resolution 17-0016R, request for federal action, more humane immigration enforcement, for the purpose of reaffirming Baltimore's status as a welcoming city and calling on U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to adopt more humane tactics when operating within Baltimore City. Sponsors Cohen, Clark, Middleton, Henry, Scott, President Young, Bullock, Costello, Schleifer, Pinkett, Reisinger, Sneed, Stokes, Burnett.
Chair recognizes Councilman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the recent ICE arrests in Southeast Baltimore have had a devastating impact on our community. Far from targeting violent criminals or gang members, they have detained a barber, a business owner, and most recently a father after he dropped off his 9-year-old child at school. These actions have sowed seeds of terror and eroded public safety. Through this resolution, we reaffirm our status as a welcoming city and call on ICE to stop arresting innocent women, men, and children. I'm grateful to the students of Oye for helping to write this resolution and for their leadership. Mr. President, I am reminded of the quote by pastor and theologian Martin Niemöller, who said that first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Mr. President, as the grandson of Holocaust survivors, I am proud that this 72nd City Council will not be silent in the face of injustice. When President Trump calls for a Muslim registry, we will speak out. When President Trump calls for a Muslim ban, we will speak out. And when President Trump's ICE agents come to arrest our immigrant brothers and sisters, we will speak out. I am deeply grateful to all of my colleagues for co-sponsoring this resolution, and I move to suspend the rules for immediate adoption.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of suspending the rules for immediate adoption of this resolution say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Councilman Cohen.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of adopting resolution 17-0016R say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carries, and this resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move to suspend the appropriate rules so that I can introduce the City Council resolution from the floor.
Second by Councilwoman Sneed. All those in favor of suspending rules that allow for the introduction of this City Council resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended, and the resolution can be introduced and will be City Council Resolution 17-0017R. The clerk will read the resolution into the record.
City Council Resolution 17-0017R, Development Estate Center Office Complex, for the purpose of urging the Governor of Maryland to return to the negotiating table with the City of Baltimore and members of the State Center Neighborhood Alliance in order to develop a solution that will address the needs of surrounding community and that will benefit the city as a whole, and to commit to keeping State Center's current slate of state agencies and jobs in Baltimore City. Sponsor, Costello.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello. Please note that Council President Young is a co-sponsor. Any more co-sponsors? Councilman Henry, Councilwoman Middleton, all council people, all council people.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues, for your support of this. As many of you are aware, the State Center Office Complex, located in the 11th District, houses approximately 3,000 employees that work for state agencies. Those employees, by and large, live in Baltimore City, and they travel to and from work every day using public transportation. State Center is a major transit hub in the city. There's been a redevelopment plan in the works for over 10 years now, and that has been taken off of the table by the Board of Public Works. And unfortunately, we're not moving forward with that. We have 12 community associations in the State Center Neighborhood Alliance, which are in complete agreement on the redevelopment plan. Many of my colleagues know that even more than 2 community associations agreeing on the same thing in this city is practically alien, and I think we can all appreciate that. We need the governor to come back to the negotiating table with the city and with the State Center Neighborhood Alliance to help move this project forward. And we need the governor to assure us that those 3,000 jobs will remain in Baltimore City. I'd like to move for immediate adoption. I apologize.
You move for suspending the rules for immediate.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules for immediate
Second by
adoption.
Councilman Dorsey. All those in favor of suspending the rules for immediate adoption of this resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended.
I'd like to move the resolution 17-0017R.
Second by Councilman Dorsey. All those in favor of adopting resolution 17-0017R say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This resolution is adopted. You can find the consent calendar in Section A at the back of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Motion by Council Vice President Middleton, second by Councilman Burnett. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This calendar is approved. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to join my colleague so we can both present this resolution and a motion. Thank you.
Second by Council Vice President Rossinger. All those in favor of extending floor privileges to Councilwoman Clark's guests say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. Your guests may take the floor.
My Visa account, yeah. Okay, I'll read this part and then you read the rest. I would like to welcome to the floor Mr. Dan Bacino and Ms. Teresa Mendez, members of the local host committee for the American Association for Psychoanalysis and Clinical Social Work, otherwise known as AAPCSW. The American Association for Psychoanalysis and Clinical Social Work is a membership organization of clinical social workers and other mental health professionals who practice psychoanalysis and psychoanalytic psychotherapy. The AAPCSW Biennial National Conference, Mind and Milieu, from the consulting room to the community and back, is being held here in Baltimore from March 24th to March 26th, 2017.
You bet. Councilwoman Clark and I would like to extend a warm welcome to clinical social workers and other mental health professionals as they arrive in Baltimore, the birthplace of American psychoanalysis. And my mother is a clinical social worker. She just retired from Smith. She's going to be here. You should all come out. The American Psychoanalytic Association was founded in Baltimore in 1911 at the Stafford Hotel in Mount Vernon, and clinical social workers provide the majority of mental health services in this country.
Councilman, shall we take a turn with this?
Go for it.
City Council Baltimore resolution. Be it hereby known to all that the City Council of Baltimore offers its sincerest congratulations to the American Association for Psychoanalysis and Clinical Social Work.
In recognition of Biennial National Conference in Baltimore, Mind and Milieu, from the consulting room to the community and back, March 24th through March 26, 2017. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 20th day of March 2017. Go.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Both of you. Especially.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey. You have to stand.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. At this time, I'd like to move to extend floor privileges to my special guest, Reverend Father Joseph Muth.
Second by Councilman Pinkett. All those in favor of extending floor privileges to Councilman Dorsey's guest, say aye. Aye. All those
Thank you.
opposed, nay. The motion carried. Your guest may take the floor.
Here today, Father Joe. I made some notes here. It's hard to kind of sum this up. This guy's had a long career serving Baltimore and in a parish in the 3rd District, St. Matthew's, at the corner of Woodburn Avenue and Loch Raven Boulevard. The church was started in 1949, and it's been doing incredible work ever since then. I'm going to just highlight a couple of things. I also want to thank Mr. D. Harvey for asking to have Father Joe recognized here today. It was kind of always something that was on my radar, but I appreciate the prompt. I know of a number of the works of the church. A number of my friends participated in a group called LEAD a number of years ago when Maryland was pushing to pass marriage equality, and his parish was a leader in gathering support from Catholics and other parishes to support marriage equality. On August 1st of 2014, his parish experienced the tragic loss of life of 3-year-old Mackenzie Elliott, and whose murder goes unresolved today. Yet Father Joe continues to champion for people in Baltimore who we believe have information to speak out to bring resolution to this, having authored now at least 3 different published op-eds in the Baltimore Sun, one most recently just in January of this year. On the 50th year anniversary of the parish in 1999, and I think that this is so thankful for Councilman Cohen and his resolution here today. Parishioners at St. Matthew's began an outreach effort to create the Immigration Outreach Service Center. This parish today is home to immigrants from more than 30 countries and has served over 4,000 immigrants to date. He has been in the leadership of Baltimoreans United in Leadership Development, BUILD. He'll be holding a rally outside here tonight to fight for educational funding in Baltimore City for as long as they've been around. Been around for a long time, huh? And since 1977. And I should say also he attended the same grade school as my father and his family, and I had the privilege of attending the same grade school as his nephews. He at St. Mary's Govans and me at St. Francis of Assisi. And today, what was brought to my attention was the work of a new organization called FLOW, where he is on the board of directors, an organization started by Mr. Godfrey Mullen, who my office is also extending a resolution of support to and thanks for their service, named for Mr. Godfrey Mullen's mother, Florence, and also Friendly Loving Opportunities is the acronym FLOW. And so we want to thank the parish for being the home of the collections of the donations to be extended to homeless families and individuals and folks experiencing great hardship here in Baltimore City. We just cannot have enough of this kind of work in Baltimore City. So it's a privilege for me to stand here with this council today and honor you and thank you for your service to Baltimore City. I'll just read this because, you know, it's kind of the formal thing to do. In recognition of his exemplary service and outreach to the community, the entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion, and directs this resolution to be presented this 20th day of March 2017. Thank you so much, Father Joe.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Mr. President, I move to extend floor privileges to my special guest, Bob Maloney.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of extending floor privileges to Councilman Costello guests, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried, and your guest may take the floor.
Mr. President, colleagues, on March 31st, 1997, Bob Maloney showed up to work as a firefighter paramedic apprentice assigned to the Old Town Fire Station and served on Medic 7, Engine 6, and Truck 1. Over time, he was promoted to the positions of firefighter paramedic, lieutenant, deputy mayor of emergency management and public safety, and his current position of emergency manager. Bob Maloney's service extends beyond city government. He served 6 months in Fallujah, Iraq, as a petty officer, second-class Navy corpsman assigned to the U.S. Marines. Bob, I think it goes without saying we all hope that your retirement is filled with lots of great memories with your wife, Julie, and children, and watching the Orioles compete for a World Series. That was the script. I wanted to add something off script. When the events of April 2015 started to play out on April 25th and on April 27th, I was a new council member about, 6 or 7 months in. I had no idea what to do, as I think most people in this room did. We were really confused, scared. What was going on outside was very, I think it broke a lot of people's hearts. And I'll never forget reaching out to a mentor of mine and saying, what am I supposed to be doing? And his response was, stay close to Maloney. I ended up living out of the Emergency Operations Center for 7 days, with Bob to the point where I think our eyes were bleeding, and we were. It was a long week, but suffice to say, I can't explain to everyone in this room how much could have possibly gone wrong if it had not been for Bob Maloney's leadership during that time after those events unraveled. And I think not just the council members and council president and the people in this room, but everyone in the city of Baltimore should be extremely grateful for Bob's service to this city. So with that being said, I have a resolution, the City Council of Baltimore resolution, be it hereby known to all that the City Council of Baltimore offers its sincerest congratulations to Robert Maloney in recognition of 20 years of dedicated service to the City of Baltimore, starting as a Baltimore City firefighter paramedic apprentice and retiring as Director of Emergency Management. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 20th day of March 2017. Signed by Council President Bernard C. Jack Young and all members of the City Council. Mr. President, if I could pass it over to Bob.
20 years of being involved in managing emergencies, and it seemed like everything was thrown at us. As a matter of fact, there was only one thing we didn't get, and that was a volcano. So I figured, yeah, we got the earthquake, we got the derecho, we got back-to-back blizzards. But as I look back on all of it, it's been a team approach, and the council has always been great to my office with getting us constituent needs and helping us to help people. And that's really what it's all about, pumping the basements and helping a house family if the house is burned out, getting the need, getting that extra lift. And someone said to me, do I think that Baltimore is more prepared than other cities? And I don't think we are, but one thing's for sure, the resilience that people have in this city is comparable to none. When people are down and out, people help each other. And I've had a front row seat of seeing that, and I've been very, very fortunate. I had a great career, and I look forward to my next move with Hopkins. But I'm so grateful for the honor, and I really appreciate it. And my wife and kids are here tonight who have borne the brunt of me not being at home many nights, and also once in a while making up an emergency when I want to work a little extra late. But and as many of you know as well, it's the spouses and the family members that take the brunt of our work, and I'm glad they're here to be a part of that. So thank you very much, Eric and Mr. President.
I told Bob he's only right up the street from where I live, so he's not getting away from us. But we wish him well in his new endeavor. Thank you, Bob. We'll now move to bills on second reader. Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 16-0003, city property renaming Oliver Community Center Playground to Calvin B. Scruggs Senior Playground for the purpose of changing the name of Oliver Community Center Playground located at 1351 North Eden Street to Calvin B. Scruggs Senior Playground.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. We held a hearing on this, and the bill was moved favorably.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Third reader for final passage.
City Council Bill 17-0018, Labor and Employment City Minimum Wage, for the purpose of setting Baltimore City's minimum wage rate for the years 2019 through 2023, setting the formula to determine Baltimore City's minimum wage rate from 2023 onward, repealing certain exceptions, creating certain exceptions, defining certain terms, setting the terms and qualifications for wage commission members, requiring the production and posting of multilingual posters summarizing Baltimore City's minimum wage laws, setting Baltimore City's tip minimum wage rate, setting Baltimore City's small employer minimum wage through 2026, limiting the withholding employers may make from employee wages, allowing any person to make a complaint to the Wage Commission, changing the Wage Commission's procedures for responding to complaints, repealing the prohibition of bad faith employee complaints to the Wage Commission, establishing certain penalties, clarifying and conforming related provisions, and generally relating to the minimum wage to be paid to employees in Baltimore City. President Young?
Yes.
President Cohen? Dorsey?
Yes, thank you. I'm new to this. May I explain my vote? Is this the time for that?
You sure can, but you have to stand.
Jeez, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Council President. I'm new to this. Today, I'm supporting this bill to uphold the blue-collar workers in Baltimore City right to a living wage and uphold their dignity of labor. By upholding their labor's dignity, we improve the integrity of our city's employers as well. You see, it's not just enough to create jobs. A job is not a good thing in and of itself. History has proven time and again that jobs tied to subpar wages can be used to exploit labor at great profit to the employer and continued poverty for the employee. When the relationship between two people enriches one while leaving the other in unbroken hardship, it is not a relationship of integrity. Our city must be one that requires integrity and business to go hand in hand, and nothing less will do. By voting for integrity in business, we vote for opportunity. It is taken as a virtual given that the rich tend to stay rich and the poor tend to stay poor. Yet still, there are those among us who treat subpar wages as though they are a sign of lazy or unambitious workers, failing to acknowledge the outsized impact that circumstances play on access to opportunity. The cognitive dissonance of living wage opponents increases all the more when factors such as race or gender are discussed. These factors are born out of pure chance, whose negative impacts are sustained by the complacence of those who could change them. It must be given the justice that they have always deserved. A $15 hour minimum wage is a step in the right direction, offering hope for true economic mobility for those it will impact. And I'm proud to stand here to help take that next step as a city today. Thank you.
Dorsey, yes. Councilman Henry?
Did you call this vote? Okay.
Councilman Henry?
I'm trying to decide if I want to say something that's duplicative of what was already said at the hearing, and I'm going to say it anyway, even though a lot of the people who were here in the room now were here for much of the 5 hours that we talked about it this year, and that doesn't even include the 5 hours that we talked about it last year. I'm going to say the most compelling thing that I've heard on this issue in the last year and a half has been a simple statement made online last year by a woman who pointed out that if the way a business owner makes more than a living wage is by paying their workers less than a living wage, that is the problem with the business model. The problem is not government regulation. The problem is that you making money relies on other people not making enough. And I am happy to vote yes and work towards eliminating that inequity.
Councilman Henry, yes. Councilman Slifer?
explain my vote. So I have many challenges with this bill, which I think require more than just a 5-hour conversation to get answers to questions, in which almost all of my questions have not been answered yet, but I'll just list off 2 of my challenges. The first one is the negative impact on small businesses. Small businesses are left with essentially 3 choices. They can lay people off, they can raise their prices, or essentially do both. And which brings me into my second thing, which is going at it alone. My district, as many of you know, border the county all across the northwest corner of the city. For most of my residents, it is easier for them to shop in the county and closer to shop in the county stores than it is to go to the city stores. And by making Baltimore City uncompetitive to those stores just 2 or 3 blocks up into the county, causing them to be priced higher, would prevent my constituents from shopping at their local city-owned stores. And so therefore, for those reasons and many others, I unfortunately have to vote no.
Councilman Slifer, no. Councilwoman Middleton.
I'd like to explain my vote. I'd just like to say to all the struggling families out there that are working 2 and 3 jobs and not having time to spend with their children, my vote's a yes.
Councilwoman Middleton, yes. Councilman Pinkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe it's fair to say that there's no one here this evening, surely no one on this council, who does not support an environment where workers throughout the city have more financial resources to care for themselves and their families. It's not just a good thing to do, it's our obligation. One that is no different than our commitments to help provide quality schools, safe neighborhoods, affordable housing, youth enrichment, and accountable public safety services. It is paramount to the future of Baltimore and to the welfare of its families that we improve the economy of our great city. So what is that question this evening is not whether we fight for increased wages for the citizens of Baltimore, but what is the strategy we use to achieve this objective? In many regards, this past election cycle marked a renaissance for Baltimore, a changing of the guard, a renewed sense of optimism. I was of the opinion that couched within that excitement was a belief that this council will be deliberate in our analysis, pragmatic in our actions, and always mindful that we claim no ownership of the city, but merely serve as faithful stewards of all of its resources. And while we vote in an official capacity tonight on what is the most significant piece of legislation for this council, it is disheartening to know that there was never truly a discussion on other ways to improve wages in our city than simply mandating a higher minimum. As if the problems our city is facing can easily be fixed with one piece of legislation that further isolates the city from its surrounding jurisdictions. However, the job of governing is much more nuanced and complicated. Legislation does not happen in a vacuum. The problems facing our city are complex, challenging, and warranting the very best in us. Our constituents are looking for us to give them the opportunity to improve their lives, increase the options for their children, and rebuild a city that is ripe for leadership. There's no easy fix. It takes time, and more importantly, a willingness to make tough decisions that may not always be the most popular. Are we honestly going to say that simply increasing the minimum wage will address the poverty issues impacting the economic viability of our city? Does this legislation fix the issues of economic opportunity, equity and inclusion, access to capital, transportation, inadequate public education, and quality affordable housing? All of these issues have a greater impact on poverty than the life support measure that we are voting on this evening. Are we really going to tell the working poor throughout the city that we can't possibly implement measures to heal your condition, but in the meantime, we'll do everything that we can to simply make you comfortable? While increased wages are part of the puzzle, they are not the only piece. The economic problems that face Baltimore are bigger than minimum wage. They are more pervasive than minimum wage. They are more entrenched than minimum wage. Baltimore is a city where 67% of the jobs are held by individuals who choose not to call the city home. Yet this legislation will do more to hinder our business retention, recruitment, and expansion efforts than it will to foster those efforts for disenfranchised Baltimoreans. In communities like Upton, Greenmount East, Park Heights, Rosemont, and Southwest, the unemployment rates hover around 25%, not to mention areas such as those in my district where the number of people not even in the workforce is closer to 50%. Yet this legislation will do nothing to alter their employment outlook, but rather will exacerbate the problem. I also encourage you to think about the 160,000 residents of our city, 55,000 of which are children, 40,000 seniors who live in food deserts with little to no access to quality, healthy, fresh, and affordable food. This legislation will not help us open more grocery stores, but may in fact lead to the closure of some across the city. Lastly, I would like you to draw your attention again to the $116 million price tag of this legislation. Our city is facing a $130 million funding gap in the school system, an unfunded DOJ consent decree that could average $10 million annually, and a structural budget deficit. What programs do we propose to cut to support this legislation? Youth programs, apprenticeships and job training, libraries, community centers? If we continue on this course and do not address the issues affecting our economy in a comprehensive, nuanced, and deliberate way, then I agree, we should put all of our eggs in the minimum wage basket, because our constituents, whether they be young, old, black, white, single parent, ex-offender, you name it, won't be prepared to earn anything more than that. My constituents in the 7th District don't want to earn a minimum wage. They never have. All they have ever wanted is an opportunity to earn their maximum wage. I vote no, and I urge you to do the same.
Councilman Pinkett, no. Councilman Burnett.
Chair recognizes Councilman Burnett.
I stand before this body, a child of Baltimore City, a child of teenage parents that without a village that rallied around us, I'm not sure I would be standing before you today. Those parents worked at Wendy's, tried to make ends meet on a minimum wage that was much lower than what we're discussing today. And in the 10 years of community organizing work I did all across the city, we wouldn't have enough time for me to share some of the heartbreak and the stories that I've heard from broken families, from people working multiple jobs, from grandparents raising young adults, young children. We discussed the violence in the city and how often I've met young people who have expressed the reason that they're standing on the corner is because that's the best option for them. So when we talk about wages and we talk about being able to live in the city of Baltimore, a city that rent is going up every year, the cost of living is going up every year, but we have to fight tooth and nail to help people's paychecks go up to meet that demand. And it's heartbreaking to me that this is even a debate in 2017, especially when we look at the condition that our communities are living in. So my vote's a yes for this, because I don't see any other path for us to move people up. We can work on workforce training programs. We can work on apprenticeship programs. As I like to tell people, we can walk and chew gum very well in the city. And I fully intend, just crossing my 100th day on this body to fight for those issues, to fight to make sure we have funding for Youth Works, to fight to make sure that the students at Edmondson Westside have somewhere to go, a job that pays a living wage or apprenticeship or college or anything that they need to succeed. Because that's what West Baltimore needs, that's what our city needs, and we can continue this fight. And I look forward to working with all of my colleagues to make sure that all of the young people and all of those young adults and those grandparents have everything they need to thrive in this city. And I'm signed up for it. So to all of our advocates who've continued to pound the pavement and fight for good jobs and better wages, I'm still here with you, and I'll continue to stay with you. And my vote is again is yes. Thank you.
Councilman Burnett, yes. Councilman Bullock. Councilman Bullock, yes. Councilman Reisinger. Councilman Reisinger, yes. Councilman Costello.
Mr. President, I'd like to explain my vote. My colleague from the 7th District alluded to some of the budget issues we have in this city, and I think it goes without saying those budget issues are extremely significant. In about a half an hour from now, we're all going to go outside. We're going to join Build, and we're going to have a press conference, and we're going to talk about what the City Council is willing to do to help fix the gap with education funding. A $130 million gap, which, by the way, next year will be $165 million, and the following year will be $190 million. Just think about how significant that number is. In addition to that, the DOJ consent decree, which my colleague referenced, 10, 11, 12, $15 million a year. With no end in sight at a minimum of 5 years. In addition to that, $1 billion, $1 billion in sewer infrastructure work that has to be completed as a result of an EPA mandate. At what point are we constraining the city's budget to leave no discretion as to how to move the city forward and achieve the city's goals? For those reasons, I vote no.
Councilman Costello, no. Councilman Stokes? Yes. Councilman Stokes, yes. Councilwoman Sneed?
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Sneed.
Thank you, Council President. I'm a yes, and I'd like to explain my vote. Coming from a single-parent family, my mom raised me on her own, my sister and I. And my mother didn't have a lot of funds, but thank goodness for our village that raised us in my community. And so I knocked on plenty of doors in East Baltimore, and that was the #1 thing that folks talked about, is that they're working 2 and 3 jobs, and they can hardly pay for their basic needs. And so I'm fighting for those families. I'm a yes vote because I want to make sure that those families are able to buy everything that they need for their basic needs, and then a little bit more. I just think that's fair in life, and I don't want to see people constantly struggle just to get past when other people are just not even attempting to help. I think we're all in this together, and I hope that all the folks that are here will pitch in to make sure that we all thrive in Baltimore City.
Councilwoman Sneed, yes. Councilwoman Clark? Councilwoman Clark?
I hadn't prepared any remarks. I guess I should have. I'd like to say that no one has ever suggested that one significant piece of legislation correcting decades of injustice would solve injustice as a whole. It's never going to be one thing, but it's got to start with something. And the something before us today is legislation that has been broadly, widely discussed over 2 terms of office. From the pros, the cons, the reports, the testimony, and the considerations. For many decades in this nation, the earning power of people kept up with the wealth of the owners. So it was kind of like a compact society economically, and that's how it operated successfully, and people thrived. And the rich got richer, but it was within the limits of a band of society who were working people. And then it stopped being that way. The minimum wage got frozen for decades. But the wealth kept growing. And so the workers began to have lesser and lesser of the overall revenue coming in. It's like I didn't invent this. I'm an English major. Not finance, but here's what I do know. That gap, that lack of movement up in reflecting the work people do, has caused a crisis across this nation and in this city, and of people working 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and still often unable to make ends meet for their families. Certainly to have any of the extras, like the 2nd pair of shoes for one of the children whose feet keep growing. I was here when we rowed a boat in from the Inner Harbor celebrating the building of Harbor Point, and how Harbor Place, sorry, that was the one we were celebrating, and how we had invested millions of dollars, billions of dollars, federal, state, and local, to create a tourist and hospitality industry for the major purpose of employing people in Baltimore who couldn't get jobs in manufacturing anymore. They were gone. It was a great moment of celebration until quickly we learned that hospitality industry didn't share our vision of replacing those jobs, not with manufacturing salaries, we knew that, but with decent living wage salaries, so people we built all this for could go home at night and be able to go to the grocery store and pay the rent and take care of the kids. So, I'm very happy this evening. I understand how people have objections. This is not easy. It never is. Many people have to sacrifice here for this. It's not easy, but it's the reason it's unifying, because everyone has to cooperate here in helping us as gradually as we could under justice raise our minimum wage so that people in a few years will be able to afford what right now a single working person with no dependents can just afford. I vote yes.
Councilwoman Clark, yes. 11 yes, 3 noes, 1 absent.
This bill is approved. Committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of rules 10.2 and 10.3 to announce a hearing.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of suspending the rules, announce a hearing, say aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Mr. President, colleagues, the Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will have a hearing on Bill 17-0033 on Tuesday, April 4th at 10:35 a.m. That's Building Code Correcting Definition of High-Rise Building, introduced by the administration at the request of Council President Young. Mr. President and colleagues, Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will have a hearing on Bill 17-0025 on Tuesday, April 4th at 10:30 a.m. That's city property renaming a trail to the Heidi Grunman Trail. That was introduced at the request of Councilman Christopher Burnett. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock. Any more committee announcements on this side? Okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Council President. On Thursday, March 30th at 1:55 p.m., the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee will be hearing Bill 17-0022, which is the bed of Duker Alley.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee will hear City Council Bill 17-0008 on Thursday, April 27th, 2017 at 10 a.m. here in council chambers. It's an investigative hearing for the late payments to subcontractors on city contracts. The sponsor is Stokes of the 12th District. I also like to make a motion to suspend the rules to announce a hearing.
Second by Councilman Dorsey. All those in favor of suspending rules, announce the hearing, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. You may announce.
The Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee will also hear City Council Bill 17-0044 Thursday, April 27th, 2017 at 10:10 here in council chambers. It's a sale of property on North Mount Street, 100 feet south of West Lafayette Avenue, Block 86, Lot 048E.
Thank you. Any more committee announcements? Okay, I have some regular announcement. I'd like to wish Councilman Stokes a very happy birthday. His birthday is coming on March the 23rd. And I'd like to also wish Councilman Rossinger a very happy birthday. His birthday is coming up on April Fool's Day. Okay. All right. Anyone else? The chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Again, I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Godfrey Mullen, to whom this council extended a ceremonial resolution today, to thank him for the work of his organization, FLOW, which I acknowledged earlier. I also want to acknowledge that Councilman Brendan Scott could not be with us tonight, and normally he asks that we take a moment of silence for those we have lost since our last council meeting. So, and I want to also thank Pastor Kenji Scott for bringing due attention to this grave concern in the city, and ask that we take a moment of silence to acknowledge that.
Okay. All right. Colleagues, please note that at the time of the April the 3rd, 2017 meeting has been changed to 1 p.m. There's a memo on your desk. Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
The next meeting of the City Council will be held on Monday, April 3rd, 2017 at 1 p.m. Remember, the time is 1 p.m. And also, we would like to have a moment of silence for the families of the loved ones and victims that were victims of violence and also fires in our city.
Thank you. There being no further business, this concludes the 7th meeting of the 72nd term of Baltimore City Council. Good night.